Chapter 4 Walayat of the Imam. It should be known that besides the Walayat of God and the Prophet, the Walayat of the true Imam is also necessary, because just as the Holy Prophet is the means of the Walayat of God, which is friendship and love, the means of Walayat or friendship and love after the Prophet is the Imam. Therefore, the Imam's Walayat is the Walayat of the Prophet. Some of the proofs of the Walayat of the Imam are presented here. Proof 1. The first proof of the Imam's Walayat, friendship and love, is the verse, "Verily, your wali is Allah and His Messenger, and those who believe and establish prayer and give zakat while they are in ruku, bowing down." 5/55. During the time of revelation, nobody had given zakat in the state of ruku, nor is there an explicit injunction to give this special zakat. It was only an accident that Mullah Ali was in the state of ruku when a poor man begged, and the Imam gave him his ring. Thus, referring to this event, his walayat has also been incumbent, in addition to that of God and the Prophet. Now, with respect to the question of why this meritorious deed of the Imam is mentioned in the plural form, the answer is that Mullah Ali is the father of the Imams. Therefore, in his word and deed are included all those holy Imams who are going to come to this world till the resurrection, as it is said about Hazrat Ibrahim. Verily, Ibrahim was an Ummat, nation, obedient to Allah, by nature upright. 16/120. Proof 2. God says in the verse of obedience, "O you who believe, obey Allah and obey the Messenger and the Ulul Amr from among you." 4/59. Here it is obvious that this obedience is in a religious sense and never in a worldly sense. It is also obvious that obedience to the Prophet is after obedience to Allah, because obedience to him is obedience to Allah, and similarly, obedience to the Ulul Amr, the holy Imams, is mentioned after that to the Prophet, because obedience to them is obedience to him. Thus, the purpose of the verse of Walayat and the verse of obedience is the same. Otherwise, neither is Walayat possible without obedience, nor obedience without Walayat. Proof 3. In several verses of the Holy Quran, the friendship of infidels is prohibited, and it is instructed to befriend mu'mins. If the friendship of mu'mins is necessary to strengthen one's faith, then the friendship of their commander, the Imam, is more necessary. It is contrary to divine justice to think that there are the chiefs of those whose friendship is prohibited, and there is no chief of those whose friendship is enjoined. Proof 4. As religious obedience becomes complete in 3 stages, obedience to Allah, obedience to the Prophet, and obedience to the Ulul Amr, which in reality are one, in the same way, Walayat also becomes complete in 3 stages: Walayat of Allah, Walayat of the Prophet, and Walayat of the true Imams, which in reality are also one, as God says, "And Allah knows best your enemies, and Allah is sufficient as a wali, friend, and Allah is sufficient as a helper." 4/45. On the one side in this sacred verse, the enmity of the false ones is mentioned, and on the other is mentioned the friendship of God, the Prophet, and the holy Imams, which is true friendship. Therefore, every friendship which is from God is true, and only that in reality is the friendship of God. Thus, it is said that Allah is sufficient for friendship and help. That is, Allah's friendship and help are sufficient in the form of the friendship and help of the angels, the Prophet, the Ulul Amr, and Mu'mins, both in time and space, and physically and spiritually. Proof 5. It is mentioned in the Quran that on the day of resurrection, angels will say to Mu'mins, "We were your friends in the life of the world, and are your friends in this world, which is the hereafter also." 41/31. From this verse, it is established on the one hand that this walayat, or friendship of angels, is not possible, without love for and obedience to God, the Prophet, and the Ulul Amr, and on the other, that the Wilayat of God, despite being one, in reality consists of many ranks. Proof 6. God says, Behold, indeed for the friends of Allah there is no fear, nor do they grieve. 10/62. It should be known that fear is related to time, from the present till post-eternity, abad, and grief from the present to pre-eternity, azal. The way the friends of God are praised here, namely, that they are not under the influence of fear and grief, alludes to the fact that in the light of Walayat, they know the pre-eternal and post-eternal realities, and are well aware of Allah's perfect mercy. Such friends of Allah are the pure Imams after the Holy Prophet, whose friendship is incumbent upon Mu'mins, because God Himself befriends them. Proof 7. It is said in verse 43/67, Friends on that day will be foes one to another, save the righteous ones. That is, the righteous ones will remain friends among themselves. This means that the friendship of the Prophet and the Imam is not only the means of guidance in this world, but also the means of salvation in the next world. Proof 8. It is mentioned in verse 2/254, O you who believe, spend of what we have given you before the day comes when there shall be neither bargaining, nor friendship, nor intercession, and the disbelievers, they are unjust. It is evident from this verse that bargaining for the hereafter should be done in this world. It is here that the friendship of those chosen by God should be attained, and the means of intercession as well. Otherwise, the day of resurrection is such that there is neither bargaining, nor friendship, nor intercession in it. Thus, it is evident that bargaining, friendship, and intercession for the hereafter have to be attained here in this world. Proof 9. It is said in verses 25/27-28, On the day when the unjust one shall bite his hands, saying, Would that I had taken the path with the messenger. Woe to me! Would that I had not taken so and so as my friend. These two verses show in the language of wisdom that the prominent aspect of injustice committed by the unjust one was that he had befriended an unworthy person, and because of that he was unable to take the path of the messenger. Had he befriended the worthy one by abandoning the unworthy one, he could, as a result, have taken the path of the messenger. Here it is evident that the Walayat of the Imam is the first and foremost pillar of Islam. Proof 10. The wise Quran, portraying human nature and habit, says, And it is possible that you may dislike a thing while it is good for you, and it is also possible that you love a thing while it is bad for you. And verily, Allah knows while you do not know. 2/216. From this verse, it is clear that after the obedience and wilayat of Allah and the Prophet, the obedience and wilayat of the Ulul Amr is necessary in order to recognize good and bad and discern between true and false, as it is evident from this verse that man by himself knows little. Proof 11. It is said in verse 5/56, And he who befriends Allah and His Messenger, and those who believe, join Allah's army. Lo, Allah's army, they are the victorious. This verse presents the concept to the people of intellect and wisdom that externally and internally in this world, the battle between truth and falsehood, namely Islam and disbelief, will always continue, and the truth will be victorious and falsehood defeated every time. And its results will be seen on that day which Allah has promised. Thus, wisdom lies in befriending Allah, the Prophet, the Ulul Amr, and Mu'mins. Proof 12. The wali and helper is appointed by Allah so that he may be the fountainhead of heavenly guidance and given knowledge, as the Quran says. And appoint for us from you, min ladunka, a wali, friend, guardian, and appoint for us from you a helper. 4/75. In this verse, the phrase min ladunka, which means from your presence, from your side, from near you, is worth reflecting on. It implies that the perfect man, who is the most excellent in knowledge, wisdom, and taqwa, piety, has the rank of the closeness of God. This perfect man is the exalted Imam of the time, whose Wilayat, which is friendship and love, is incumbent. In the light of the above, it becomes evident that Wilayat, which is friendship and love of the Imam, is incumbent and necessary, so that the mu'min may be honored with his obedience, and through him with the obedience to the Prophet, and through the Prophet with obedience to God. Proof 13. The Holy Prophet says, "He who loves Ali, indeed he loves me, and he who hates Ali, indeed hates me." This hadith shows that love for the Imam is love for the Prophet, and everybody knows that love for the Prophet is love for Allah. Proof 14. The Holy Prophet said, "O Allah, bring me he who is the most beloved to you of your creatures, so that he may eat the meat of the bird with me." Then Hazrat Ali came and ate with him. This shows that it was Hazrat Ali who is the most beloved to God from among his creatures. Proof 15. The Holy Prophet says, "Love for Ali is a good deed which no ill deed harms." This means that the one who has love in his heart for the Imam will not commit a sin, because love for the exalted Imam prevents man from disobedience and urges him to obedience. Proof 16. The Holy Prophet says, "Hate of Ali is an ill deed with which no good deed can benefit." This means that without the love for and pleasure of God, the Prophet, and the true Imam, no good deed can be a good deed in the real sense. Proof 17. The Holy Prophet said, "No hypocrite loves Ali, and no mu'min hates Ali." It is evident from this hadith that the standard which is ordained to differentiate and distinguish faith from hypocrisy is the Reliant of Imam Ali, which continues in the chain the Imamat of the progeny of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and the children of Ali, alayhi salam.